the Final Four we had in April was, if not the greatest Final Four ever, one of them. I mean, the storylines were incredible. The games were incredible. Then the National Player of the Year is coming back for the first time in over a decade. All sorts of other guys that maybe could have gone to the NBA are back. Every blue blood going into this season, that includes Indiana and UCLA, even if you don't want to include them, but throw them in the mix. They all have national title aspirations. Is it fair to say that you are as excited as Tate and I are for this season, that this college basketball season, as it stands going into the season, is setting up to be an all-timer?
Yes. I mean, I think, first of all, we have tremendous storylines. And, one thing that we can get into a great debate about when you mention blue blood, I'd like to know, first of all, who gets credit for that definition, because I get criticized when I use it for certain teams, i.e. Gonzaga. I was in Las Vegas last week for WCC Media Day with the Zags, and I have referenced them as a blue blood with everything that they've done over the last 10 years, because the numbers are unbelievable in terms of number of weeks that they've been number one in the country, which is actually more than any other team, more Sweet 16s consecutively than any other. And they've got, with Oscar Tshiebwe, arguably one of the Player of the Year candidates back in Drew Timme. The interesting blue blood that you didn't mention that has a great storyline, but I don't think they're a national title contender, obviously, is Villanova, which we've sort of anointed with their 2 national champions to being blue blood. But with Cal Neptune taking over for Jay Wright, I don't think we think that they're going to, as a collection here of college basketball minds, that they are in that same category this season. But I totally agree with you with all these other teams, including Duke, which has a new head coach in John Shire. I saw them on actually day 1 of practice a week ago Monday. And, they've got lottery picks. If it weren't for Scoot Henderson and, of course, Victor Wembanyama, I got to get this right. Wembanyama?
Yeah, you got it.
Did I get it right?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you say it fast, it sounds good.
Wembanyama.
There you go.
Anyway, Victor, you take those 2 out, and then you've got certainly Derek Lively and Derek Whitehead will certainly be in that grouping in the next tier of lottery picks. So they're going to be a great watch. And I think these Duke Carolina games are going to be unbelievable again as we see the new era of Shire and Hubert Davis.
Well, talking about Shire and mentioning Kyle Neptune earlier, what would you say? There's been a lot of big-time coaching changes happening in this sport, obviously, over the offseason. Not what is the best hire, because let's not do it this way. I'm done trying to grade hires. Ever since Archie Miller at Indiana didn't work out and Mick Cronin at UCLA is working out, I've decided to just retire from trying to
get done with grades.
I'm done trying to figure out what's a good hire and what's a bad hire. But what to you, Andy, is the most intriguing new hire? What coach at his new school?
We got Thad Matta at
has
Butler,
your attention the
Sean
most?
Miller at Xavier. A lot of options.
Look, I think it has to be Shire for me because first of all, he's coming in a completely different era. If a young early 30s John Shire takes over 5 years ago, let alone 10, I think it's a different ball game. And I think it's a much different hill to climb. He's coming in now where NIL will keep players in. He hires Rachel Baker, who, is familiar in this. She's sort of like this NIL GM, savvy to that. Clearly the Coach K finale last season helped in recruiting in terms of them, getting to the Final Four and allowing Shire to sort of see, look, I'm a part of this. And he goes out and recruits another top recruiting class. They've got all the bells and whistles at Duke to be successful. But yet he is still young, and this is his first time. And he's got, what really struck me when I was at practice was how young the staff is. And I think that'll have a good connection where he's got, Jay Lucas from Kentucky, Chris Carrawell, Emil Jefferson. That's his sort of core group. They're all younger guys. And I think it'll be intriguing to see how they progress in this new era.
Was Coach K at that practice that you were at?
No. In fact, it's interesting you asked that because he was away that week. This is the first week of practice. Mm-hmm. And my understanding at being at Duke is that he is not going to be there. Not in his office, that has stayed, but
he's still in his office. Correct. That is confirmed.
Yes. Although my understanding is that Shire, all those offices are going to get changed or whatever.
Yeah, he's getting his own office. Yeah, they're building him his own office.
Yes.
The head coach is getting his own office. Wow, that's big. That's amazing.
But he's not going to be a presence at practice or at games this entire season, from what I understand. As you know, first of all, you can't hide at Cameron. There's no suites.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, kind of the same thing with Jay Wright. You could do it at Wells Fargo. You could sit in a suite, but at the Pavilion, you can't hide. I don't think we will see Jay Wright there either. Think back though to the late great John Thompson. The few times, count on maybe 2 fingers, that I actually went to a Georgetown practice during the John Thompson the third.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right.
Practices. Big John was there. Like he was always there. And which you could argue on one side, that's great. You've got this sage, person for the players to talk to. But on the other, like, he was always there. And yes, it's his son coaching. But I don't get the sense that Coach K or Jay Wright will be a presence at practice or games, certainly not this season.
But K will still be a presence.
Yeah,
just not at practice.
We're talking about Coach K. Are we talking about the
practice and game?
Yeah,
practice and
the
game.
dog?
Now, I would also say this, guys. I wouldn't rule out Coach K going to, and I don't know this, but let's say Champions Classic in Indiana, or the Nike event in Portland. An event like that where you're in an NBA arena. So you can kind of hide, or the Jimmy V at MSG. I think the suites aspect is critical here to sort of at least have distance, and not be sort of hovering. You can't hide at Cameron.
Yeah, he can't go to Cameron games.
So what you're telling me is that all season we're once again going to be talking about Mike Krzyzewski and figuring out which game he's going to, and is he not there? Krzyzewski watch. We zoom in on every chair in Cameron Indoor Stadium.
In MSG, they're just trying to find him in a suite.
Oh, that's great.
Well,
I bet college basketball fans are excited about that. They're going to love that.
I will say this, though, but maybe this is more like maybe it's because Hubert is older, but I don't know what their agreement was or whatever, but Roy did make appearances last year.
He went to a lot of games.
Yeah, and so clearly, Hubert was okay with it. At least we think he was. And I feel like, Roy felt comfortable, obviously, to be there. So, look, if there's any Final Four appearance, I mean, Roy was really present with all his former players. I talked to him during the game when I was doing Silence for Westwood One. I clearly think that Coach K would be there in that kind of scenario.
Gotcha.
Okay, so same question. Which coach are you most intrigued by? Except we're going to cut that entire part about because we just don't want to go down that road again this season, talking about K all season. So let's answer.
By the way, you know what consensus number one is, though.
What's that?
My consensus preseason number one.
Who's number one? Is it are you Tar Heels?
UNC.
There you go.
Carolina.
I like that.
The AP poll. I will be very, very, very surprised if when the AP poll comes out on Monday the 17th, which is when it is supposed to come out, preseason top 25.
Next Monday.
Yes. I will be shocked if Carolina is not number one.
Well, Andy, don't you think that's good for college basketball? Because I think like Houston might have a case to be better than Carolina, and they might end up being better. I don't know. They're interesting. They have my attention certainly, but I think when you look at like the storyline, certainly you have to give Carolina. I think that's what college basketball needs is North Carolina as the number one team. Now whether they're going to actually be the best, we'll find out. But because I think like a lot of
like here's the thing though. Can I just say this, guys? I have seen criticism when I posted my latest, Power 36, and people are like, oh, he was in on UCLA last year, and now he's doing the same thing with Carolina. The difference, I think, is first off, I just think Carolina is better, okay, than the UCLA team. Yes, both teams got hot late, but I would argue that Carolina, their run to the Final Four and title game, they beat better teams. They had the road win at Duke. And, I can see the comparison, but I just think the players that all returned for Carolina are simply better than the ones that returned to UCLA last year. And I do believe, and I saw him a lot, I think the Pete Nance addition will be the perfect replacement of Brady Manick. They are very similar. And
team first
Pete Nance,
guys. Yep.
I really believe this was one of those transfer portal pickups that didn't get a lot of buzz, that's going to end up being a huge, huge offseason move.
And they took him, in theory, over Gigi Jackson, who was the #1 recruit in the class, who ended up going to South Carolina. So it was a decision to say we'd rather have this veteran and go for a championship than placate the one-and-done game, which is very much in line with what Roy was preaching at the end of his career, and Hubert's picking up on that as well and going in the portal. So
can I also point out that
just follow up that real quick, is that the key thing with Nance is he just wants to win.
Yeah.
He had some moments at Northwestern. He's, not been to the tournament. And so as a fifth-year guy who knows that Baycott, at least inside, is the man, and, Davis and Love are obviously going to get their share, Leaky Black a little bit. But, Nance knows I'm a piece.
Yeah.
I don't need to be the go-to. I'm a piece, and I just want to win.
And he said as
and
much.
I think,
yeah.
Gigi Jackson, obviously he wants to win. He wants to be a champ and all that. But at the same time, you just can't compare the maturity, a freshman who wants to be the guy. I think this is a much better play for this season.
Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.